Of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, it's time for the end of the week with Ray news, and it's going to be some head-scratching stories. We've got a lot of stories going on in our industry. I love this industry. Those friends of mine that sell supply and service print equipment being disrupted, a lot of chaos going on. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, through its disruption and chaos is where new birth begins, and our industry needs a rebirthing, that's for sure. Our industry needs to reinvent itself, change the game, not only for themselves, but for their end users. So without any further ado, let's jump on the board. I want to share with you some head-scratching news stories. First thing is this, folks. I saw a picture out there of a big giant A3 machine next to some slender A4 machines. You want to know what the headline was? Look at this, folks. No more fat A3 machines in business. End users want skinny A4s. Apparently a bunch of end users got tired of looking down the hallway, seeing fat A3 machines by the water fountain. They said, get that crap out of there. We want skinny A4s. This is fantastic for the A4 revolution. Folks, our friends over at Visual Edge IT. I did an episode where I talked about Dex Imaging buying Visual Edge IT. I put that episode together with a lot of thought, and I shared my thoughts. I shared my insights. I shared what I think's going to happen. They're my thoughts based on my research, right? Well, the day I put that video out there, I find out that Visual Edge IT fired between 60 and 70 people. And when I started thinking about Visual Edge IT, the new CEO firing those 60 to 70 people, it really reiterated to me why I do what I do. Because, ladies and gentlemen, could you imagine over the last few years if more of our media and analysts held the old CEO of Visual Edge IT accountable? When the old CEO of Visual Edge IT would show up on venues and get interviewed and talk about how fantastic the company was, talked about how successful they were, that they could even afford to sponsor the Football Hall of Fame. All well, their BDC lender, Ares Capital, wrote off a senior subordinate loan that had sat in non-accrual for over a year. Our industry's analysts gave Visual Edge IT's leaders venues to go talk about how fantastic things were. Could you imagine if they held them accountable, if they asked them some questions? Maybe those 60 to 70 employees would have been more prepared because they got fired. And I would ask the new CEO a question. Are you going to share the new vision of Visual Edge IT? Because I've been covering Visual Edge IT for a few years. There seems to be rifts. Hopefully the new CEO didn't say this is the last of the firings. I mean, I hope he didn't say that because there's been a lot of rifts. But what's changed since the last rift? What's the new vision for the company? When Visual Edge IT's new leadership fired 60 to 70 people, did they fire any of the core values along with those people? Is the company still about integrity, accountability, teamwork, communication, and agility? I hope so. But I really hope that the new CEO has a town hall meeting very soon and explains to the entire company, the ones that are left, what the vision and mission of that company is. Because I hope it's not the same as it was. Because the last CEO's vision and mission, well, that woke up in a nightmare. Ladies and gentlemen, I just did a video. I just did a video on TD SYNNEX. And I talked about how TD SYNNEX wanted to get closer to the end user. Well, guess what? October 2nd, 2025, press release from TD SYNNEX. They just bought Gateway Computer Corporation, a Japanese IT services and solutions provider. It looks like TD SYNNEX just got closer to the end user. A while back, I suggested, well, maybe TD SYNNEX will buy a mega dealer here in the United States. I even said Dex Imaging. Of course, that would be after Dex Imaging buys Visual Edge, cleans all that up, and then TD SYNNEX would have a pretty big footprint to get closer to the end user. But when I say that TD SYNNEX wants to get closer to the end user, and the same day there's a press release coming out saying that they just bought Gateway Computer Corporation, a Japanese IT solutions and service provider, it makes one wonder. Ladies and gentlemen, Office Depot, they're going private. Atlas is buying them for $1 billion. It wasn't too long ago that Staples and Sycamore Partner were trying to buy Office Depot for over $2 billion. I guess they wanted to wait till the number got lower. Anyway, Office Depot going private with Atlas Holdings for $1 billion. Our friends over at OPI, that's the Office Products blog out there. They put this article out there, and I'm like, what the hell? What is Staples delusional? I mean, seriously, listen to this headline. Staples in the U.S. has announced discounts on more than 1,000 products next week. The timing is not a coincidence, given Amazon is running its 2-day Prime Big Deal Days from 7 to 8 October. Okay, first of all, Staples, you lost to Amazon, and you're never going to win. I mean, seriously, this is insane. Staples, you bought a company called Dex Imaging that had a footprint all across the United States. And you could have expanded that footprint. You could have sold all your products through an online e-commerce platform at Next Imaging to all their customers. You could have done so many things, and basically you didn't do anything that I ever envisioned when you bought them. And then what happened? Well, Next Imaging ended up leaving you. And now you're going to try to compete with Amazon. Totally insane. But I am thinking this could be the reason that Sycamore Partners told Ascendant to stop dealing with resellers. Let's just funnel all that stuff through Staples online as they compete with Amazon. Totally insane. Ladies and gentlemen, our friends at Sharp are having their big dealer meeting. It's called Sharp Next 2025. And I know some people are saying, well, there was another big OEM had a meeting and it was called Next. Yep, it would be Canon. The problem is, see, Canon had their meeting already and it was called Next. So Sharp's having their meeting next week and it's called Next, so it's closer to the future. So the Sharp Next meeting is more relevant. By the way, I did hear that Canon's next meeting, I mean, this is just a rumor, but I heard they spent so much money advertising on the big giant sphere there in Vegas that they could only afford to bring in some of the dealers, where Sharp's bringing in all the dealers. By the way, I'll be at that meeting, and I can't wait to see all my friends at that meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, this is unbelievable, and I got to ask Konica Minolta, do you do this on purpose? Do the people at Konica Minolta put together press releases knowing that I'm going to read this and say, what in the hell are these people talking about? Because that's exactly what I'm going to do. Here's the headline. Konica Minolta and First Citizens Bank forged new strategic agreement to deliver next generation financing. Okay, first of all, Konica Minolta's been with First Citizens Bank in a relationship for like 3 decades. What the hell are they talking about next generation financing? Are they talking about, hey, we just want to let all the dealers know, you know, all the old people in the dealerships, hey, as your kids take over, we're still going to be there for them. We're going to help the next generation finance copy machines on 3 to 5 year leases and prematurely upgrade them every. I mean, so, folks, what's changed? What's new generation? You think new generation financing, that would be about like Apple Pay and digital finance and stuff like that. This is just insane to me. Konica just cracks me up. I was reading Konica's About Us, and they kind of update a little bit for the year 2025. You got to listen to this. It's so crazy. This year also commemorates 20 years of Konica Minolta's BizHub brand. Over the past 2 decades, the BizHub series has revolutionized office technology and redefined how businesses operate. Are you out of your mind, Konica Minolta? You see, folks, I really believe the reason that Konica Minolta's operating profit literally sucks is because Konica Minolta's leadership is completely delusional. That's what I believe. I think they actually believe, they have marketing people write up this stuff, and they actually believe it. They believe that the BizHub redefined businesses for the last 20 years. The BizHub is an MFP, just like every other MFP in the planet. You walk up to it, you stick some pages in the docu-feeder, you hit start, you get 4 sets, right? You could even duplex it. Or you send a print job to it, like every other MFP in the world. The other thing Konica Minolta always does that cracks me up is they talk about their awards from BLI, and we all know that's what, holy crap. Or some executive wins an award, which we all know is completely an award that's really kind of meritless at best, let's just say that. And they actually brag about it. But I'm reading this thing. The year, they talk about their BLI award for 21 through 2023, most color consistent A3 brand. Well, it's 2025. So you just told the whole world, hey, we used to have the most consistent color back in 21 through 2023, but it's 2025. We didn't win that. I mean, you really do crack me up, Konica. Speaking of next generation financing and banks, GreatAmerica was going to buy the Heritage Bank, and I'm not sure, did they do that? I haven't seen any press releases that they actually closed on that deal, and I'm thinking, did Wells Fargo call them up and say, don't buy that bank because we're going to buy you? But the other question is, will GreatAmerica start delivering next generation financing? I mean, you know, if they buy the bank, you know, we got Konica doing the thing with Citizens Bank, you know, next generation financing. Is GreatAmerica going to provide financing to the kids of the parents of the dealerships? I think that's a fair question, right? Holy smokes. Ladies and gentlemen, extra, read all about it. Konica Minolta installs Acuro Shine 3600. Question, did Konica Minolta give the machine away or sell it? How does Konica Minolta define being a leader? They talk about being a leader in the industrial print space, and I'm thinking, how do you define that? I mean, seriously. I mean, I would think being a leader comes with profitability, and we all know. I mean, holy smokes, do I need to go on there, right? But folks, I'm reading this article about this machine going in this location in California. I'm thinking, did they give it to them? And if they gave it to them, I ask, how many other machines have they given away? And is that why they can't grow the top line revenue, you know, past that $300 million? Really? And by the way, if you're giving them away, you're not charging for them. is that why the profitability in the professional print space for FY 2024 had a $90.4 million loss? I'm just good questions, right? To go with that news stories. Konica Minolta also said this. This is big news. They finally divested of all the Konica Minolta realm. They're out of that medical stuff. Divested it. It's gone. So I'm thinking, how much more stuff does Konica have to divest before Fujifilm comes in there and buys them? But at least they're out of that, right? Every time they divest of something, you got to think to yourself, remember the press release when they said how great it was going to be? Of course, another press release, they divested from it. Ladies and gentlemen, Konica Minolta, just real quick, I got to share it because it's great big news, right? FY 2024, they ended the year with a $438.2 million operating profit loss. Professional print business had a $90.4 million operating profit loss. So whether they give a machine away or they charge you for it, anybody that's buying any industrial print machines from Konica Minolta, they're probably looking pretty hard at the financials, or at least I would hope they would. I think we should all learn a lesson from land of digital printing, right? Ladies and gentlemen, Printing United. Printing United in Orlando coming up in a couple of weeks. I heard this rumor. I heard that Rico and Konica Minolta have a bet who could take the most show orders. I mean, seriously. Remember when they went to Drupa and they were bragging about how many show sales they had, show orders? How stupid. What a stupid thing. But I'm thinking they're doing it again. That's what I hear through the rumor vine. And maybe I'll stop by their booth, say hi, and I'll see how it's going. Like, I'll keep prodding them. How many show sales have you got? I was just over maybe I'll just make it up. I'll go up there and I'll say, hey, Rico, I was just at the Konica booth, and they got 100 show sales. And they'll be out there giving stuff away, trying to get more show sales to beat Konica. Holy crap. Speaking of Printing United, I got to ask a question. Is Visual Edge going to set up a booth at Printing United? And the reason I ask is because I heard they were. And here's what I think, if they are going to set up a booth at Printing United, they need to do immediately. The CEO of Visual Edge IT needs to send a letter to the 60 to 70 people that got fired and share with them how successful Printing United was last year when they went. Talk about all the money they spent to go, all the sales they did, whether they were current customers that would have bought anyway, or whether they were net new customers who actually bought these machines, how much discounts did they have to give, what was the real deal with Printing United. I think they should share that publicly with everybody. Because a lot of people are questioning, what the hell are you going to Printing United for? You're a dealer that's financially stressed. Seriously? I think it's fair that they should publish that they should share that with all the folks that they just fired. Ladies and gentlemen, Enrique Loris, the CEO of HP, had made an announcement that the president of the Personal Systems is leaving, gave him a nice goodbye. The guy was there a long time. He deserves a nice goodbye, but I'm looking at the numbers. Do you realize in FY 2022, the Personal Systems for HP revenue was $44 billion, that's a big number, right? $44 billion, $84 million. And in FY 2024, the Personal Systems revenue, $36 billion, $195 million. Basically, it was $7 billion, $889 million less than the 2022 number. And if you factor in Poly, which was doing $1.7 billion, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That means the Personal Systems is down from the 2022 number by $9.589 billion. That's a whole lot of money. If you look at HP as a whole, from the 2022 number, actually this is from the 2021 number because that was their big number for the whole company. You know what it was, ladies and gentlemen? They're down $11.628 billion from the 2021 number in the 2024 financials. So I'm thinking that maybe the CEO is the one that needs to go. Maybe the CEO, instead of running around buying up all their own shares, should have figured out a better strategy for the company, because the sales are definitely evaporating. And it doesn't apparently seem that AI and PCs is helping them any. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked my end of the week with Ray News, because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see you all on Monday.